Hey guys, welcome to another thrill-packed, motion-sensitive, socially distanced episode of the Church Media Guys Show. I'm Dave. And by the way, if you want to learn how to use and leverage media and technology so that you can take the gospel to the world, then I want you to start right now by clicking the subscribe button and ringing the bell so that you don't miss a thing, like when we're going live, like absolutely this moment in time, this exact second. If you'd have had that little button, the bell notified, then you'd already be saying hi to us in the chat. So do that. Hey, with me as always is the legend. I'm looking at his preview image, and I'm sorry, but here's Justin.
What's going on, guys? How's it going? I am coming to you live from let's
Are you in
call
Fiji?
this. Am I in Fiji? No, I'm in Fuji.
Fuji.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome, Angela, Christopher, Dawn, Garth, Pete, Terrence, Tommy, Rick, Raphael, David, Overcomers Bible Church, and everyone watching the replay after this, and everyone that's just lurking and hasn't commented, so I can't see your name to shout you out on the stream. What's going on, everybody? I love the ability, Dave, that we have the technology now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not happy with my background. I can just very easily
Mm-hmm.
put my background as space or
Yes.
cabanas or anything like that, and it looks professional. I mean, look at this. I could be the weatherman right here.
Y- you
It's
are.
so good.
Yes, we have a low tropical low depression coming over the horizon by your finger. Yes, that's.
Okay, can I turn this off
Yeah,
now,
I
please?
really wish you would. Look, here's the before. Now let's go to the after.
Alexa, turn on my studio lights. And wait for it. Boom. There we
Ooh,
go. What's
there
going
we
on,
go.
guys? Good to
Much
be
better.
back.
That's the Justin we all sing about around the campfire.
What's going on, guys? Dave, we're talking about backgrounds, and
Yes.
this is incredibly awkward for me because I go to a weekly Bible study with Tim Steele of Crosswaves Church, where I serve as church communications director.
Uh huh.
Um, and he loves to use virtual background on Zoom. So
Oh,
I'm just gonna address the 800
shall we
pound
shall
gorilla
we
in the
tag
room.
him in this? Tim, we love you.
He's going on vacation. I don't want to ruin his vacation. Uh,
Give him something to think about.
let's talk about how we can get it better for Tim, and then we'll use him as a case study, because because right now let's just address it. Virtual backgrounds, green screens. We get so excited for those things, but they look so
God, they
bad.
look horrible. Listen, I do a
They
TV
look
show.
so bad.
I do a local TV show, okay? And we've gotten some like wood backdrop that we've set up in there, and we have a nice set, especially for a very low budget. We have a really nice set, and then we've been zooming people, and we get some people who are like in their office, and the most I have to do, the light works, everything's good. Most I have to do is, hey, can you tilt your camera down a little bit, or can you take like half a step back? Perfect, you look great. Then we get people that someone was in their food truck and they had the fans going in there, and the trying to keep them, and they had sweat, and then they turned on the virtual background, so it looks like Fiji and stuff, and I was just like, you realize this is people are seeing this, people are looking at it, and I know here's the deal. I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, okay? Everybody, I'm giving you
Give
the
him a
benefit.
pass, Dave.
Yes, yes, I'm giving you a pass. You're completely new to this, and you haven't cleaned up yet, and you're thinking that something's got to look better than my coffee pot sitting behind me or something like that. And I understand, okay? And you're in some cases you're scrambling, and there's nothing wrong with that. What the very first thing that Justin and I always tell people when you are like wanting to do this kind of stuff, the very first thing is we tell you to do is hit the record button, hit the stream button, get started, just start. Okay, so a lot of you have started. Now we're going to help you get better. And the very first thing I want to tell everybody to do when it comes to your background is don't do the hide my background. Oh, and by the way, don't do the blur my background thing either, because they're basically using the exact same technology. And unless you're lit perfectly, it looks horrible. For example, when I had Justin turn off his studio lights and set his webcam to like all the defaults so that it was overexposed and stuff, and then had him put on one of these virtual backgrounds. which is basically the way a lot of people are doing it. It's everything is like on automatic and stripped is the way lots of folks are doing it, and it looked really really bad. Actually, here's the deal: when he had all his lights on and he was lit really good and he was kind of separated from his background and everything, and he did like the blur my background or put another background, it looked a lot smoother. It looked a lot less janky on the sides, where it was and all that, because he does have proper lighting in there. So unless you have it perfect, it's not going to work, and no one, whether it is perfect or not, is ever going to believe that you're really sitting in Fiji.
Or in space.
Yeah, or in space. You're just fooling. You're not fooling anybody. We know that you're not like woo, woo,
Yeah, I get
space.
and I've fallen into that trap of we can and let's do it. I
Right.
mean, we did a devotional series, small group curriculum study, and we filmed the pastors doing each of the pastors. I think we had like 7 pastors do 7 lessons over the course of 7 weeks.
Yes.
One of them wanted to use the green screen that we use for announcement videos, and was like, cool. So we got the green screen set up. We shone the light on him. I found a nice moving gradient background, and the response was not, "Oh yeah, man, Bob's message was so good, man, that was a good one." No, it was, you see Bob's video, it just looked wrong.
Yeah.
Like I heard more about the green screen than I did about the quality of his message. So
Yeah.
believe it or not, sometimes the green screen, the virtual backgrounds can be a little working against you and your message. And
To
the
say the
last
least.
don't, let's get on to the do's. The last don't is it may be, you may think it looks even, at least if you're not going to use a virtual background, you're not going to use a green screen. Let me just go sit in front of my white wall. That just looks boring too. So we've got some tips for that, whether you're going to sit in front of a white wall or how do you get set up in your house. First, let's talk about the free stuff.
Okay.
We call this, we like to call it good, better, best. Good being free, better takes a little bit of work, and best is if you have some money to invest, go ahead and do it.
Mhm.
And today is going to be like the cheapest investment to get a good quality background. Number one, first of all, pretty obvious, but isn't obvious to most. Clean your room.
Yeah.
And it's not even your room, it's your shelf. Okay, this shelf behind me is only about a third of all the collectibles that I have. These are just the pop figures. I got another 2 boxes in my garage of other collectibles that could be on here, but it was a little busy. And if you look at my old studio setup, I had about 2/3 of it up here, and it probably still worked, but you got to clean up a little bit and put it behind you, whether you move it off to the side, you sit in one corner of the house that has a little bit of less stuff going on. And in the case, I just thought about it, but in the case of my daughter who did a Zoom recital, obviously she's in ballet, she signed up for class. Her recital was supposed to be last week. Of course, that's not going to happen. So they actually did the recital on Zoom, and it was in our living room. I rolled up the carpet, but I also got rid of everything on the end tables, so it was just the lamps. And we have we have a canvas photo in the background. I wish I had a picture of it, and it looked really nice. She was kind of framed right there in the center of the living room with the couch and the lamps around her and the photo on top of her. It made a really nice frame. And all I did was just remove some coasters. I put the Alexa on the floor. Sorry, everyone's Amazon Echo that's going off. And I just kind of cleaned up a little bit. And just doing that alone just really cleans it up, and it frames you really nicely.
Yeah, that's like the easiest thing that you can do. I mean, literally the easiest thing is wipe the shelf off behind you, that kind of thing. So okay, here's mine. You were showing yours, here's mine. So behind me is like my Star Wars collection. And yes, it is kind of busy. It's actually kind of dark, but I've got some accent lights that I've thrown on it. I've got a couple of different things I'm trying back there. I'm actually, believe it or not, y'all know because you've been watching for a few years that I'm a diehard Star Wars fan and all that. But I'm not finding the joy in my collection like I used to. So I'm actually going to be changing a lot of this stuff out and like putting Legos of all different kinds, especially a lot of vintage stuff that I grew up playing with and all that. So I'm going to be changing it up, and it's going to be interesting, but it's not going to be like overly busy and stuff. It'll be something that when you are looking past me, you're like, oh, cool. And that's the whole idea. That's the reason that I did that. And I have heard 1,000 times, literally every single person, Justin, that we've interviewed on the show has made a comment about the background, has said your collection looks so cool, it's so neat, it's so I used to have I would have a movie playing back there each week, and like one of the games was trying to guess what it is that's playing on the screen behind me and stuff. And so all of that was done on purpose, just to provide part of the character of me and this space that I'm in, right? Doing that, the things that you and I do, and Bill does that too. And by the way, Bill would be joining us, but he's helping his mother-in-law buy a house. So, yeah, I don't know, family first, I guess. Whatever.
We got to talk to him about his priorities.
Yeah. So thanks, Bill. No, but Bill's another example. You guys have seen some of his background. Part of the joy of doing things like this is being able to showcase your interests and being able to showcase bits and pieces of your personality. So with me, it's Star Wars and it's Lego and it's the toys and the 80s pop culture and stuff that I grew up with. All of that kind of stuff, I love. And that's an extension of my personality. So I want to be able to show that. Jared, my pastor, who we interviewed the other day, we've got a video. Chris, if you'll put the link to that video in the chat, I'd appreciate it. The video that we did about the difference between preaching to a room full of people versus preaching to the camera and trying to come up with a hybrid. That's my pastor, Jared. Jared is a diehard Lord of the Rings fan. So when you go into his, and he's also a story fan, like just the art of good storytelling and stuff. So when you go in and start looking at his shelves and the things behind him, you start seeing The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings and different things like that, things that are almost like little Easter eggs sometimes, which is really cool. So those are the kind of things that you can do. Clean your space. Try to minimalize it. Put a couple of tchotchkes that represent your personality, and showcase that. And let me go just one little step further. Claim who you are. Right? Don't ever make apologies for the things that you like. Don't ever make apologies for your hobbies or anything like that. And this is just an aside. In fact, we'll probably snip this and make it its own little thing. I like Star Wars. I'm 47 years old. I like Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I have Star Wars collectibles and toys and things like that. And I'm making no apologies about that. And I will never, ever, ever try to justify it. It is what it is. So if you like Iron Man and you're a pastor, or our family pastor, Curtis, Justin, Curtis, he's he likes DC. I mean, he likes like Batman is his thing, like that. Never apologize for it. So showcase that. If your congregation is throwing a fit about that, your congregation's priorities are really screwed up. So showcase some of the things, and it's okay to have those things behind you. You don't have to be super Christian. You don't have to have a crucifix behind you. You don't have to have a Lego model of the empty tomb or whatever, although that would be really cool to do that. In fact, I may do that. Anyway, you don't have to do stuff like that. You don't have to have a whatever the Christian version of accessories is, hanging on the wall with some sort of I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's great. We love that. Yes. Yeah, we love that. Okay, but you don't have to showcase that. You can showcase elements of your personality.
Yeah, I could talk forever on that because I have some stories about that, but I won't because Dave, you're salty enough for the both of us.
Thank you.
Let's just let's move on.
I think I need an aspirin. I'm getting a little fussy.
Let's talk about better. So the good is basically clean your room, organize a corner of your house, and showcase your personality. Okay, some people will connect with the wall of crosses. My mother-in-law collects crosses to hang on her wall. Some people will connect with that stuff. Other people will connect with what shows your personality. The question is, what do you want the non-church people that are going to see your streams? Because when you go online, non-church people are going to see your streams.
Okay? And you want that.
And you want that. So,
Absolutely.
what do you want to reflect on that? You may have to choose, and we got your back. But also, let's talk about organizing kind of what's behind you. So, if you do have a white wall, this is something I saw on a local news show. I don't even know if it's a news show. It's called Houston Life something. It's called Houston Life. It's on at 1 o'clock
Houston
here in
Live.
Houston. And Dave's going to throw a picture up. And when they started recording during the quarantine, one guy is in studio and one co-host, the woman, don't know her name, but she records at home. And when she started, she just recorded in front of this white wall.
Right.
That was very boring, right? But what she did was super simple, and I've done this before too. She put a flower pot next to her, and then she put a kid's drawing of the logo up on the wall behind her.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave's going to put the photo up.
Yep.
And that automatically looks so much better just putting a picture and a pot of flowers right next to you. And I've done that. I recorded something in our uh, staff office waiting area, and it looks so bad. I just moved a potted plant behind, and I moved a framed photo behind her, and it just looks so much better. It just gave it some flair, gave it some personality. So if you don't have something that you can shoot in front of, if you don't have a bookshelf to shoot in front of or a nice painting or something like that, get your kid or get someone in the youth group. Or if you're like me and you're just not an artist and everything you make looks like a child made it, put a picture up behind you, put a family photo up behind you, even if you have to thumbtack it. Doesn't have to be a nice frame. You see her pictures thumbtacked.
Yep.
And then find something that you can just add a pop of color to. Flowers,
that's easy.
or maybe a coffee mug, or just something that you can put up behind you. Dave, you even put your iPad behind you sometimes.
Yeah,
put your favorite movie on your iPad.
Sure.
And, throw it up behind you, or a family album or something.
You could do that.
That's fine too, just to spice up that white wall.
You could also put like a lamp, or you could go over to Walmart or get on Amazon and order like a RGB light bulb that you can like use a remote control to set the color, and put that in like an uplight, or put it on a little like a little spotlight, like a little, it's like an uplight that swivels, so you could like aim it at the wall and just wash color on it. You could put it down on the floor. You could have a lamp behind you, take the shade off and have it on the floor, and have one of those colored lights, and it's just washing some color on the wall. So now your white wall has an element of purple on it, or blue, or pink, or something like that, sort of fusing out into the white. And that just looks, and put like directly behind you, so it's like coming out from behind you, and that just makes that space look more interesting. Get creative. That's the main thing we want to tell you. Don't be shooting at your dining table with the window behind you, because we see the blinds and stuff. If you're gonna do something like that, if that's going to be a part of it, then you need to dress that window space. You need to make sure that you've got like some curtains, and that the blinds are a certain way so that the light is coming in but not affecting you. It's trial and error with stuff like that. But you can make your backdrop look professional. You can make it look homey. You can make it look visually appealing and non-distracting. And just when people look at it, they go, nice. And sometimes if you're a minimalist, one or two things can make a gigantic impact, like hers did. Let's go to best. Best. Okay. When we're talking about best, we're talking about taking complete control of your space, right? So one of the things that I like to do when I go two different ways. First things first, don't ever do green screen or anything like that, because you don't know how to do it. Okay. So anything and everything you do, we're talking about practical stuff, real stuff, right? So just to go back to the very first thing, don't try to fake anything. So when we're talking about practical stuff, you can do something like this, where you have, I'm on one corner of the room, that's in the other corner of the room. So even if you're like at your, in your house, and you're doing it at the dining table, and behind the dining table at one angle, you can actually see the living room, then you clean up the living room, and you turn on a couple of lamps in there, and then you shoot with that as your background. That's pretty cool, especially if you've got some distance. It'll actually look a little bit blurry in the background, even just with your webcam. So it'll look better because it's a little dark, and there's no movement back there, but it's really nice looking, and there's like a soft glow and stuff that can be great. If you have just a blank slate, like a room, like a bedroom or something that you're going to do this in, you can go the next level by getting a backdrop of some kind. Okay, now there's a bunch of them that you can get on Amazon. There's like, palette walls and rustic looking. There's, do something that's believable. I always say don't if you're in a room and we all know you're inside, having a nice backdrop of a secret garden, that's why do you have a picture of a secret garden behind you? You know what I'm saying? That just doesn't fit with where you are. But like a barnwood backdrop looks cool. A brick wall like Justin has. Justin, I'm going to cut to your full screen real quick. That's my full screen. There he is. Oh, nope, that's the other full screen. I'll get it eventually. Where is he? He's on a different button. There he is. Okay. So Justin right there, he's got two things. He's got a really cool Iron Man comic cover on there because Iron Man is his thing. Star Wars is mine. Iron Man is his. And then over on the other side, right up against the corner and coming out from the corner, he's got this gray brick backdrop that we found on Amazon, and it's just tacked up there. And he's got a shelf in front of it. So this brick backdrop, the way that these things are done is they look they're photo real. So there's like, see, look at that, fantastic.
Just
Perfect.
a poster.
Yep,
basically.
it's like a 5x7 thing. It's a gigantic poster basically, but it's a photograph that was lit and taken with care. A lot of care was taken when they took this picture so that it looks real. And on camera, you wouldn't know it. For all you know, he's in a room that has he could be in a loft space. He's got a finished wall on one side and a not finished wall on the other. So, he could be in a loft for all you know. There's all kinds of cool backdrops that you can get. And let me show you guys something. There's something to go even a step further. When you have when you have one of these backdrops, you can have this kind of backdrop that like Justin has. Or you can do something. You guys know about 3D wall tiles? Do you know about these? Have you heard about these, Justin?
I have not. Maybe I've seen them. I just don't know them by that name.
So these are like 12-inch by 12-inch wall tiles, and you basically attach them to the wall. You can adhere them to the wall. You can mix and match them. They end up being patterned. So you can have like a pattern of like these kind of weird looking, it may be hard for you to see, but like these weird looking angles. And then when you put them all together, they're like seamless. So you get a really neat looking wall decor, like this. These are all put together and you get a really cool looking textured wall. And then throw a couple of down lights on it or a couple of up lights on it, and you end up with a really great looking background. And they're not expensive. This is 12 tiles, 32 square feet, and it's $70. And there's a whole bunch of different designs that you can do. And some of them, if you do it right, you could actually like mix them a little bit so that you get these really unique looking pieces. These are very inexpensive, and they will kick up the look of your space 10 times in about an hour if you do it right. I'm going to show y'all something. Let's see. We actually use these in conjunction with a backdrop. So this is a show I do. It's called Real Biz Talk with Coach Zandra, and here's what we have in this space. We have two.
I'd love to get up and go.
So we have two between the wide shot and the single shot right here. We have two backdrops. These are two separate backdrops. Okay, we couldn't get like the 10-foot one, so we got like two 5-foot ones or something, and we spaced them apart a little bit. And then we got 3D wall tile column, and we built that right in between. This is all just tacked up to the wall. And then we have some uplights, some colored uplights shooting onto it. There's a lot of texture there. There's some depth there. It looks really cool, and they are about 2 feet each from the wall. When we take a look at the close-up of her, you can see it goes off to the corner, and then we hid the seams by putting these in the corner as well. These, what do you call it? It's the 3D pieces, and I'm trying to think. There you go. And then up against the corner, then we have a nice finished sheetrock wall right next to it. So it all blends relatively nice. Now, this is in a temporary space, so we didn't go to all the trouble of like sealing all these up so that it would look absolutely perfect. But again, depending on the angles that you're shooting, you could make that work. That is a really inexpensive way. Less than $100, maybe $100 or so for the backdrops on the tiles that we did, and it works like a champ.
Yep. Michael asked in the chat, why are we in the corner? Do we recommend that versus a flat wall? Quite honestly, for me, I'm in the corner because of space. This is a very, very multi-use office that I'm in. It's a regularly sized home office, could be a bedroom, but we have my studio here. We have a piano corner over there where my daughter can practice piano and there's enough room for a teacher. Then we have a TV and cubby bookshelf space right across from me in the other corner with the door. And then we have a work corner over here that doesn't have all of my studio stuff here. So we are using every corner. If I could, I would prefer to be against a flat wall, but you're going to have to buy a wider backdrop or sit closer to the wall. This backdrop was not wide enough for flat. That's why we did it in the corner. And it worked out really well doing one wall brick, one wall, just regular wall. And Dave, you're in the corner because...
Well, there's a couple of reasons. I like to use corners for single stuff when we can, because that corner creates depth. So if you take a look at Justin's shot here, we've actually got some depth here. We've got a shelf that is receding in the background. We've got an Iron Man poster that is receding on that wall. We can play with light in there. So he can put an uplight in the corner. He can put two uplights shining on each wall and end up with a couple of interesting looking effects. There's more depth. It's not so flat. There's
the best example of a flat wall would be Leslie's studio setup.
Leslie,
you can pull it up, Dave.
Yeah, let me pull it
up. What title does he go by now? Blogger? What's his?
Learning with Leslie, blogging with Leslie.
Blogging with Leslie, or learning with Leslie. Go find him on YouTube. He has a flat backdrop that I love, but again, it's much more wider. You're going to pay more for that wider backdrop, but it can be done. And I would prefer a flat backdrop, but the corner's working out really nicely too. While Dave pulls that up, another thing that I learned by watching Leslie, and of course with Dave's help, is you don't want to just have a backdrop. You also want to, like Dave said, create some depth. So you still want to have stuff in front of it. You want to have a nice shelf in front of it, maybe a bookshelf. You want to put something in, maybe another flower pot or a plant or something to give it some depth, to again create that nice visually appealing look of not just you're standing in front of a brick wall, but it's something like that loft type look. So the depth, anytime you use a backdrop as well. And I was talking to a guy that was kind of like fighting me against it in Messenger. He messaged me on Facebook Messenger and was like, I want to do something better with my backdrop. And I was like, oh, dude, you got a perfect room for this backdrop. Go buy this backdrop for $15. And he was like, oh, but then I got to move everything around and all that. And I don't want to do that. And I was like, okay, well, you don't want to have a good looking background. So, you might have to move some stuff around. You might have to. I invested in this carpenter shelf just for my studio. And this was, nope, never mind. I didn't. It was a Christmas gift.
From who?
My mom gave me this carpenter shelf. And I think it's a $50 shelf. It folds up and it looks really nice. I mean, it's obviously not real wood, but it looks really nice. And so you may have to invest in a couple things. But again, this is not a temporary thing. We are going to be streaming from home pretty much forever from now. Okay, so I think it is worth the investment. Again, you could get this backdrop here for me, probably the shelf, the backdrop, the Iron Man poster was also a Christmas gift from my brother-in-law. But I think if you were to buy all this together, minus the collectibles, probably $100, maybe. I don't even know if it's that much, but and by the way, this Iron Man poster really bothers my dad whenever he walks into this office. He's like, "Why is your Iron Man poster so short?" Because if I stand up, the Iron Man poster it's only about right here.
It's not
You're
hanging
looking down on it.
Yeah.
But I tell him it's not for you to walk into and look at. It's for the video.
Right.
So
let me
keep that in mind too.
Let me show you Leslie's real quick. He did something interesting. He's in a this was from a couple of years ago. His house he set up in his basement, and he put some distance between him and the backdrop, and that helps create that blur, that natural, plus the lens that he was using. But his backdrop, and I actually have this. I think I have this exact backdrop at our church, but you can see the edges of it. So it was kind of short. So he put in acoustic panels on either side to overlap it, and now it looked a little bit more natural from the angle that he was shooting at. All kinds of different things, guys. Basically, the main point that we want to get, and we'll have links in the description and stuff. And I'm actually putting together a kit in our gear guide that is like just things like this to if nothing else, just to spur some of your creativity. These kind of lamps, these kind of lights, things like that to help do it. But basically, what we want you to do is we want you to get creative. And we want you to think outside the little box that you've been keeping yourself in. You've got, any pastor office that I walk into, it has a nice office. In fact, a lot of pastors now have their office, and then they have their formal office where they actually sit and meet with somebody, kind of like a vestibule almost, or a separate space where they meet with people. Do stuff in there. Either way, they're both going to be. I haven't walked into a pastor's office and gone, "Dear God, what happened in here?" It looked like intelligence, just vomited everywhere.
Maybe the youth pastor.
The youth pastor, of course,
they get a pass.
Yes, but the pastor's office is usually books and stuff like that, and maybe a sitting area thing. Guys, you've got these sets, these video sets sitting there. You just need to get down a little bit and look at it and go, oh, I've got a video set here. So that's the main thing we want you to do is clean up that background. It makes you look much more authoritative when your video subconsciously is portraying to the people watching it, what you're doing. It's like, well, this guy must be, this must be good information that this pastor or this teacher is giving, because, he looks professional, versus, he looks, and like I said, even if you're showcasing elements of your personality in it and stuff, it still looks a lot more professional than it does just, a white wall or the laundry piled up behind you or whatever else. Okay.
Or an exercise bike.
Exactly. An exercise bike.
Go
Justin
watch our
had.
Videos from late 2018 when I joined. There was an exercise bike and some very cheap curtains behind me in a closet that I didn't always close.
That's right. Anyway, it is our hope that all the stuff that we're talking about here just helps spur you on to the next level, make you better. If you have any questions or anything, please leave comments below. And above all, take these little things that we've been doing and put them into action like right now, and use that to go change lives.